How I paid off $115,000 worth of debt while building a six-figure investment portfolio in less than 5 years, and how I did this before even knowing that the system that I was creating is science-backed. So it's quite interesting how things work out. So thank you for joining. I'm gonna be sharing just a few things that I believe will help you as it's helped me on this journey. If you're new to me, my name is Shika Ma'at. I'm a financial coach and the founder of John Wealth Financial, and I help you keep more cash in your pocket so you can position it to wealth and create a life of freedom and ease. And what I want to talk about today really is something that I feel like, even before I understood, how I related to money and my relationship with money, I was creating systems to help me function well and actually achieve the goal that I'm achieving now, that I've achieved. And so, one of the things before we get started, I want to ask you a couple of things of like, have you ever been in a situation where you feel like you know what to do with your money? Like, you need a budget, you should be checking certain things, you should be saving and investing, but you still can't make yourself do that. So I want you to drop in the comments and let me know, has that ever happened to you? Or maybe you're finding yourself where you've been saying like you feel like you're bad with money and no matter what you do, you're undisciplined and you don't know how to move forward. Again, if that's you, drop it in the comments, because what I'm going to share with you today, my hope is that it's going to help you, if anything, to bring some enlightenment, that it may not necessarily be you specifically, but it could be your circumstances, it can be your surroundings, it could be what's happening with you. And I hope that me sharing my journey and what I've recently learned can help you as well. So I'm going to kind of take you back a little bit before jumping into what I'm going to be talking about. But I wanted to share with you like my early financial journey. And I was doing all the things, right? Like I had multiple six figures of debt, not saving, not investing. And when I wanted to make the shift to get on this journey to improve my finances, it was always a struggle. Like I tried the Dave Ramsey method. I was drinking that Kool-Aid and it just didn't stick. I would, make some progress. I'd pay off some debt. Then I found myself right back in the same situation. And, I was doing everything that I felt that I needed to do. I was reading the books. I was doing a podcast, but it was like nothing ever seemed to just stick for me, that I was actually seeing progress. And that was very frustrating because I felt like at that time, I used to call myself a shopaholic because I was always, buying stuff, or like my husband used to joke, like, why you have all these packages coming at the door every single day? But that was just me. Like I did save a little bit, but I was spending a lot of my money, right? And the more that I made money, the more that I felt like I was spending. And so it came to a point where it was like, I'm missing bills, I'm having like overdrafts, I'm forgetting to pay stuff. And that just seems frustrating because I'm like, what's going on? Like, why doesn't this click for me? Like, why am I not able to see progress? And over time, when you hear that thought process in your mind and you're like, oh, I'm just bad with money, or it's just me, you start to believe it, right? And so one of the things for me, which is what I'm going to get into, why this aha moment that I've just had recently, is when in the month of March, like working on my business, and it was just like, I was planning out my content, doing all these things, but just something just wasn't clicking. Like I wasn't able to like move forward and do the systems that I put into place. And I'm like, what is going on? And I decided to talk to my therapist about it. I'm like, okay, this is how I'm feeling. Like something's just not right. Like I feel like I'm trying to do all these things, but there's this lack of motivation that's there. That's helping me. Like I'm meeting with my clients, I'm helping them, but like just the overall marketing stuff, like just things is just kind of falling to the wayside. Like what's going on? And I want to share this with you because for me, what I've learned, I ended up getting an assessment and learned that I'm neurospicy, y'all. Like it turns out that my brain just works differently. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because the aha moment that I had as I started reflecting, and I went down a rabbit hole. When I say I went down a rabbit hole to like research all of this, I'm like, okay, getting this diagnosis of, okay, you have ADHD was a relief because it made me realize, all right, it was you, but it wasn't necessarily you. It was just the way that your brain is. But how this relates to my finances, that was the key moment, because what I realized is that the way that I had built the systems for me, like, remember, the things that I tried, the Dave Ramsey, all those things did not work for me. But the things that I had put into place, and I'm going to break that down to you because I want to make sure that you guys understand and have the tools of what I talked about last week of how you can actually start, seeing progress if you're feeling stuck. But as I look back at my journey, it was always like this. I couldn't explain like the shift of like, how did I get from being a shopaholic to then making like this huge shift to starting to invest and pay off debt and do all these things. And the one thing that I've built for my system was that vision. Because I couldn't understand it. Like, as I went down this rabbit hole, I'm like, how is it that I just made this shift? Like, my brain's obviously in this chaotic state, but I was able to shift and actually align to the life that I wanted and started building up, right? And as I was researching this more, essentially, when I was in that phase of like shopping, and I kid you not, I remember getting like this giddy feeling of like, ooh, like I'm buying this new thing. And that was a dopamine hit, y'all. I was getting a dopamine hit from shopping. So every time I was shopping, it was giving me the good feels. And so I kept shopping. And so as I was researching, and I was like, okay, well, why is it that if I did that, how did I shift to, building wealth? I essentially just replaced my dopamine hit. I created a vision so strong enough that was more interesting to me that I fixated on, okay, my goal was to build up $1 million net worth and step into the identity of that person who was a millionaire. That was more interesting to me than the quick dopamine hits that I was getting from shopping. Like, that blew my mind because I'm thinking like, even the framework that I built. So my Vibe framework, what I do with my clients is I start out with creating a vision. That's the first thing I do whenever I work with someone. Is like, well, what's going on? You say you want financial freedom, and here you are. And we're working on bridging that gap between where they are and where they're going, right? And all of these things that I created, yes, I was creating it so that I could, turn that chaos into clarity and to help my financial journey to move along. But literally, this is essentially what I do when I'm coaching clients. And it's science-backed. As I researched it and understood like my framework that I've used on myself and why my clients have been so successful, is because I tapped into that desire of what was interesting to them, what was the vision of the life that they wanted, and was able to help them map to get there. So what felt like a struggle before of not being able to stick to their budget or to save and invest now became more in alignment because they were now focused on the vision of the life that they wanted. And I created all of this simply to help myself because what I was trying out there wasn't working, right? And I want to share this with you because I know every time I meet with someone, the thought process is like, okay, I've tried the budget. It doesn't work. It feels restrictive. Or I've listened to the books. I've done the podcast. I've done all these things. It just doesn't work. And what I challenge you is to take a step back and analyze what exactly are you doing, right? The life that you say you want, how in alignment are you with reaching that particular goal, right? Because I can tell you, for me, back then when it was like, oh, you just need to save, 10% of your paycheck. Yes, in theory, that sounds nice. Like, yes, save 10% of your paycheck. But it did not click for me until it was save 10% of your paycheck so that you can move towards building that multi-million-dollar net worth. You see the difference? Just simply blanketly telling someone, oh, you need to budget harder. Oh, you need to save 10% of your paycheck. For most people, especially the neurospicy people, it's not going to click because it doesn't connect to the desire or the vision that we have, right? So if you're struggling, if you're trying to figure out, all right, I'm trying all these things, I'm trying all the assessments and all the stuff out there of what I should be doing, maybe you want to sit back and take a gut check of like what's actually happening. And for you, it may not be ADHD, right? For my high earning women, for you, it may be stress, it may be anxiety, it may be dealing with multiple competing priorities, right? There can be so many things that's impacting you and your ability to move forward with your finances. And as I say, when I'm working with clients, it's very holistic. It's not just, all right, we're getting a spreadsheet and we're looking at numbers. You want to also look at what is your physical, your mental, your emotional, because all of those things are aligned. And I've learned and seen with my own journey, with my clients' journey, that if one of those areas are out of alignment, chances are 9 times out of 10, it's going to be impacting your finances, right? You're stressed at work. You come home, you don't feel like cooking. So you go and you eat out because it's easier and it's less mental load for you to try to figure out what you have to do for dinner, right? All of these little micro things and the habits, it all stems from something that may be going on in your life right now that's impacting you from the goal. So that's why it's important for you to make sure that you are, one, looking at what is the goal, what is the vision that you have, and then creating that alignment, right? Let me look at my notes too, because I want to make sure I'm not rambling on. That's one of the things too, is like rambling on. But what I talked about last week, what I want to kind of hone in on though, is the thought process around, again, if you're constantly going through this and someone just like, oh, you just need to budget harder, just remember that it may not be a willpower thing for you, right? But more so you just getting in alignment with the vision for your life and what it is that you want to do, right? And what I found for me as I've done this research, a lot of it tied into like, the patterns that I've seen in my life was, okay, is it interesting, right? Is it challenging? Is there any novelty to it? And those are the things that I thrived in. Now, for me, building $1 million net worth, yes, there was some novelty there. Yes, it was challenging because for someone who was like negative multi 6-figure net worth, having this idea to build $1 million net worth is like, okay, that seems kind of impossible, but it's a challenge. I'm going to work towards it, right? Like, it was exciting for me. I created that excitement, again, shifting the dopamine hit from shopping to now switching it over to, all right, let's start building this wealth. And that actually shifted the needle for me, right? I was able to pay off $115,000 worth of debt while building a 6-figure net worth in less than 5 years. And there was only one thing that I really shifted, was the vision of what I was working towards. I tapped into the beliefs of what it was that was going on that was keeping me stuck where I was and aligned it to that vision, right? So my takeaway for you today, right? I want to make sure that as you are on this journey, that you're not constantly going into the cycle of, I'm just bad with money or I'm not disciplined. Also take a step to go back and watch my video from last week where I did break down more of the vision and beliefs more so that you can understand. But when you, again, just to kind of to highlight, you have to have that North Star that's going to drive your finances, especially if you feel like you're just kind of kicking your wheels and you're just doing the same thing over and over again and you're not seeing that result, right? This was a huge aha for me. And I did it without even really understanding how my brain worked, right? Now that I know, it's like, okay, I can ramp it up. I can put more systems into place to really, further things along. But the fact that I built this system that has helped my clients reach their first 6 figures in investments. I've had a client paid off $70,000 worth of debt in 14 months. Like, this system didn't just work for me. It also worked for my clients, right? And I want you to take that time to really get an understanding of what it is that you desire for your life and really take an assessment. I want you to audit your habits and behaviors. Are they in alignment with what you say you want for your life? Like, that's what you really have to look at. You have to do that gut check of, am I doing the things that's going to move me closer to the goal, or are my habits and behaviors moving me further away from my goal? Right. And I have a wealthy women assessment quiz where you can kind of tap into looking at where are you on the journey, what's getting in your way, what's keeping you stuck. And I'll drop it in the description on YouTube once I'm done. But take the quiz, really find out what's happening, what's getting in the way of you actually moving forward and achieving that goal. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. If you're watching the replay, make sure you drop them in the comments. Also remember to, if you're new to me, hit that like, subscribe, and notification so that you'll get notified when I do post new videos on Wednesdays, usually around 3:15. But until next time, here's to your financial freedom. Peace.